The Sportsocracy.
That is some good, clean family fun there, eh, Cot?
We are back at the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. NFL Draftmas season continues here. A-plus mock drafts. Next up in the NFC West, picking at number 16 overall in the first round, the Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona's one of
Jeremy Green.
This is one of the weird times where I think the same guy's range of outcomes falls between two division rivals that we do back-to-back. Biggest needs for Arizona coming into this, I think they need a corner. I want to add a guard. I still want to add to the defensive line. I'd like to have an outside edge rusher, a 5-tech, a developmental nose, and then the offense I think is really good. But I still want to add some pieces to that as well.
All right, so where do you go at 16?
I think Will Johnson's range of outcomes starts at San Francisco and ends at Arizona. So to me, an A-plus mock starts with Will Johnson at 16. Now I've got all of the pieces in the secondary that I need. You add that to what I added with Josh Sweat. I've got a pass rusher there. I'm going to look to add another pass rusher in really short order. But Will Johnson comes in right away, starts on the outside of that defense. I've already seen him work with – I've seen Jonathan Gannon work with a guy that's, to me, very similar to Will Johnson in terms of how they play in Darius Slay. And I think he can get the most out of him. Now I'm looking at that secondary with Budda Baker in the back half. I think Sean Murphy-Bunting would probably be the other one on the outside, and I've got Garrett Williams in the slot, who I really like. Now I feel like my secondary is pretty locked in.
Mm-hmm. All right, Will Johnson at 16, and then where's the edge rusher? Because you know that's what Red Sea's waiting on.
For sure, and this is where I knew. So I asked 8, 9, somewhere in there, draft friends of mine, what is the lowest spot this guy could possibly go? And the answer I kept getting was in the second round of the Arizona Cardinals. So it's A-plus mock draft. This is the best he could possibly land. At 47, it's James Pierce Jr.
Ooh, good value.
It'd be outrageous value. And now you put him on the opposite side of Sweat. I think now Zaven Collins becomes more of a rotational piece, more of a move piece. I can probably play him on the inside some. He did it last year. He's done it over the course of his career. Zaven Collins is just a really hard – he's a hard eval. But he's really good against the run. This would allow you to kind of use James Pierce as a situational pass rush to begin with. Red Sea said, I have no idea how that would possibly happen. Neither do I.
Nope.
But when enough of your friends in the industry say he can fall that far, I'm going to listen.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Somebody's apparently hearing something that
crazy.
I'm not hearing. So
right.
we're off to a good start with Will Johnson and JPJ.
I was gonna say their investigators are better than ours, so
for sure,
maybe they're finding stuff out about James Pierce Jr. But that's another one where the talent definitely dictates he go way earlier than 47.
No doubt.
78.
So this was a tackle until it wasn't. Okay. I just got a report that Jonah Williams is fine. He is expected to be ready for training camp, and that shielded me to a guard. The new offensive line coach of the Arizona Cardinals is the former offensive line coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think this is where I go Donovan Jackson. I do not like him as much as everybody else does, but he is very malleable in that he can play guard, he can play tackle. The ceiling's not crazy high, but I don't necessarily need it to be. If I've got Froholt at center, then I feel really comfortable with. I got Paris Johnson Jr., who also the med apparently is checking out, and he'll be ready for training camp. I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about what I got with that line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need a piece that holds it all together, and that's what I get with Donovan Jackson there out of Ohio State.
Well, you've been 3 picks in the top 80 so far, and all 3 of these guys I have seen in first-round mock drafts.
Well,
so,
anybody that has Donovan Jackson in the first round, you should read no further than that. So that should be the end of that.
Several. There's several of them that have him in like the 20s. 115.
115 kind of went under the radar, but they just signed Calais Campbell, reuniting him in Arizona. He plays as that 5-tech. He'll be a defensive tackle in 4-man fronts. I love the idea of Calais Campbell to tutor the guy that I'm getting ready to say here. It's Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. Started at Duke. I think he can be a high-level pass rusher. Calais Campbell, to me, is the perfect mentor for him to kind of round some of the rough edges off with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a stud. There are some, I'm not going to say buts. There are some, he's short. He's a little thin. When I moved him out to 5-tech, in my head, all of that went away. And so I take somebody in Calais Campbell is freakishly tall for a 5-tech, and he was able to somehow have enough bend to not get leveraged. Aeneas Peebles needs the exact opposite. He needs the height to not be what holds him back, and so I would love putting him behind Calais Campbell for a year and ultimately be the replacement when Calais moves on.
All right, 152.
Cody Simon, linebacker out of Ohio State. I need an interior linebacker in a 3-4. You're going to hear that name a lot because there's not a ton of those guys in this class, which means he could go higher. But I do really like how he fits on the inside of a 3-4. In this entire class, from 125 to 250, I only have 4 natural inside linebackers in a 3-4.
All right, and the final selection for Arizona at 225.
Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech, super raw nose tackle. He's a year away from being a year away, but he has really killed the process. And I think if you got him into a scenario where he was coached up by Jonathan Gannon for the next 2 years, ultimately that could be the replacement to Dalvin Tomlinson, who you invested free agency dollars in this year. Yes, I know I didn't put much into the offense. A name to watch for them, though, and a name that I have seen them attached to through this process. Watch for them to add Julian Fleming as an undrafted free agent. Started at Ohio State, went to Penn State. Really didn't give you much at Penn State, but there's a lot of natural talent there. That kid was a top 10 prospect coming out of the high school ranks, and it just never meshed. He had too many guys in front of him at Ohio State, and then Penn State, for whatever reason, it didn't work.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Top of the hour break. When we return, we'll continue with A+ mock drafts.